9 experienced hikers entered the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. None of them returned alive. 9 lives ended in circumstances that still puzzle experts around the world. Imagine you are deep inside one of the coldest and most isolated mountain ranges on Earth. The temperature is below -30 degrees Celsius. The wind howls through the darkness. There is no one around for hundreds of miles. Now imagine that one night, for some unknown reason, you suddenly cut your tent open from the inside and run into the freezing wilderness. Barefoot. Half-dressed. Terrified. This sounds like a horror movie. But it really happened. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers entered the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. None of them returned alive. What investigators discovered at the scene was so strange that even after more than 60 years, nobody can fully explain it. This is the terrifying mystery of Dyatlov Pass. The story begins in January 1959. A group of 10 young hikers set out on an ambitious expedition across the northern Ural Mountains. Their leader was a 23-year-old student named Igor Dyatlov. The team consisted of experienced skiers, engineers, and university students. These were not amateurs. They had survived difficult expeditions before. Their goal was to reach a remote mountain known as Otorten. The journey was expected to take several weeks. The hikers kept journals, took photographs, and documented their progress carefully. Everything seemed normal. But before reaching their destination, one member of the group became ill and decided to return home. That decision would save his life. The remaining 9 hikers continued deeper into the mountains. None of them knew they were walking toward one of history's greatest mysteries. As the expedition continued, the group battled strong winds and heavy snow. Despite the harsh conditions, morale appeared high. Photographs recovered later showed smiling faces. Friends joking together. Young people enjoying an adventure. Nothing suggested fear. Nothing suggested danger. On 1st February 1959, the hikers made a critical decision. Instead of descending into a forested area for shelter, they set up camp on the slope of a mountain called Kholat Syakhal. Its name in the local Mansi language roughly translates to Mountain of the Dead. It was a strange and ominous place to spend the night. The final photograph taken by the group shows them setting up their tent in a snowstorm. That was the last confirmed image of the hikers alive. What happened next remains unknown. Weeks passed. The hikers never returned. Families became worried. Rescue teams were organized. Experienced searchers began combing the mountains. Then, on 26th February, they found something disturbing. The group's tent. But the tent was not normal. Investigators immediately noticed something shocking. The tent had been sliced open from the inside. Not outside. Inside. Someone inside the tent had desperately cut their way out. Why? What could have frightened 9 experienced hikers so badly that they abandoned their shelter in the middle of a freezing night? The mystery had only begun. Searchers discovered footprints leading away from the tent. The footprints belonged to the hikers. But there was something strange. Many appeared to have been made by people without shoes. Some were wearing only socks. Others seemed almost barefoot. Think about that. The temperature that night may have reached -30 degrees Celsius. In such conditions, exposure can kill within hours. Yet the hikers had willingly left their warm tent behind. The footprints continued toward a nearby forest approximately 1.5 kilometers away. Then they disappeared. The rescuers followed the trail. What they found was horrifying. Near a large cedar tree, investigators discovered the first 2 bodies. The hikers were barefoot, dressed only in underwear. Their hands were badly damaged. It looked as if they had tried desperately to climb the tree. Nearby, evidence suggested they had attempted to build a small fire. But the fire had not saved them. The cold had claimed their lives. Soon after, 3 more bodies were discovered. These hikers appeared to be moving back toward the tent when they died. It was as if they had realized their mistake and attempted to return. But they never made it. At this point, investigators believed they understood the tragedy. Perhaps a natural disaster had forced the hikers from their tent. Perhaps they had become lost. Perhaps they froze to death. Then the remaining bodies were found. And everything changed. Months later, after the snow began to melt, searchers found the final 4 hikers. They were buried beneath deep snow in a ravine. Unlike the others, these victims had suffered severe injuries. One hiker had a fractured skull. Another had multiple broken ribs. One woman was missing her tongue. The injuries shocked investigators. According to medical reports, the force required to cause such damage was comparable to a serious car crash. Yet there were no external wounds explaining the trauma. No signs of a fight. No evidence of another group attacking them. It made no sense. How could such devastating injuries exist without obvious external damage? The case was becoming more mysterious with every discovery. As investigators examined the victims' clothing, another bizarre detail emerged. Some items showed traces of radioactive contamination. Radioactivity. In the middle of a remote mountain wilderness. How did it get there? The mystery deepened further when witnesses reported strange lights in the sky around the time of the incident. Several people claimed to have seen glowing orange spheres moving above the mountains. Were these natural phenomena? Military experiments? Or something else entirely? Nobody knew. Rumors began spreading across the Soviet Union. And soon, theories exploded everywhere. Over the decades, countless explanations have been proposed. Some people blamed an avalanche. According to this theory, a sudden snowslide threatened the tent. The hikers panicked and escaped. However, critics point out that investigators found little evidence of a major avalanche. Others suggested military testing. Perhaps secret Soviet weapons were being tested nearby. This could explain the lights in the sky and radioactive traces. But no official evidence has ever confirmed this. Then there were more unusual theories. Some blamed unknown creatures. Others suggested extraterrestrial involvement. While these ideas are fascinating, there is no reliable evidence supporting them. The mystery remained unsolved. For decades. In recent years, scientists reopened the case. Using computer simulations and modern avalanche research, experts attempted to reconstruct the events. Some researchers concluded that a rare type of avalanche may indeed have forced the hikers to flee. According to this explanation, the group escaped quickly, expecting to return after the danger passed. But in darkness and extreme cold, they became disoriented. One tragedy led to another. However, not everyone is convinced. Many questions remain unanswered. Why were some injuries so severe? What caused the radioactive traces? And why did experienced hikers react in such an unusual way? Even today, debate continues. More than 60 years have passed since that frozen night in the Ural Mountains. The tent is gone. The footprints have vanished. The mountains remain silent. Yet the questions survive. 9 experienced hikers entered the wilderness. 9 lives ended in circumstances that still puzzle experts around the world. Perhaps science has already found the answer. Or perhaps the full truth was buried forever beneath the snow. Whatever happened on that mountain, one thing is certain. The Dyatlov Pass mystery remains one of the most chilling and fascinating unsolved cases in modern history. And somewhere within those frozen mountains, the final secret may still be waiting to be discovered. What do you think happened that night? Let me know your theory in the comments below. And if you enjoy uncovering hidden truths and unsolved mysteries, subscribe to Behind the Power for more documentaries like this.